Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something that, well, honestly, it impacts every single one of us, no matter what stage of life we're in. We're talking about the American retirement crisis. You know, for millions of people, that classic American dream of a golden, relaxing retirement, yeah, it's completely broken. But hey, don't worry, we aren't just going to sit here and admire the problem today. We're actually going to map out a concrete blueprint for how you can secure your financial dignity.
I mean, seriously, what happens when the day finally comes and you realize you cannot afford to retire? Just imagine it for a second. You've worked your entire life, 40 long years. You showed up every single day, you paid your taxes, you did everything society told you to do. And then the day finally comes, the day you've been waiting for your entire adult life, and you realize you simply can't afford it. Imagine the nightmare of reaching 2026, stepping away from your career, and instead of, booking vacations or enjoying your freedom, you're literally cutting back on groceries. Imagine skipping necessary doctor appointments just because you're lying awake at 3 in the morning wondering how to stretch a fixed income. It's a terrifying thought, right?
Section 1. The Retirement Reality Check. Now, this crisis isn't some hypothetical scenario for our grandkids. It is here right now. Just look at the sheer scale of this number, $1.46 million. According to financial experts, this is the massive target number required to retire comfortably and with dignity in 2026. This is the figure that most Americans now believe they need to step away from the workforce and, well, not panic about paying their bills later on. Just let that massive figure sink in for a second. Almost $1.5 million.
And then zero. $0. Talk about emotional whiplash. While the expert goal is floating up there at nearly $1.5 million, 28% of working-age Americans have absolutely nothing saved for retirement. Not a little bit, nothing. Zero. That means more than a quarter of the working population is heading directly toward a retirement they fundamentally cannot afford with absolutely no safety net underneath them.
Section 2. The brutal numbers.
Okay, the steep drop-off in savings is genuinely alarming. So we have that expert goal we just talked about, $1.46 million. Then we have what current retirees perceive they actually need, which sits a bit lower at $823,800. But then we hit reality. The actual average savings for an American retiree right now is just $288,700. Think about that. Even if we completely ignore the expert goal and just look at what retirees say they need to survive, the average person is short by more than $500,000. That is a $500,000 shortfall staring the average retiree right in the face.
Breaking that down even further, fewer than 1 in 4 Americans, so only about 23%, actually crossed into retirement with $500,000 or more. That massive 77% chunk, that represents the vast majority of people who entered their retirement years significantly behind, holding less than $500,000 to fund the rest of their entire lives.
So honestly, it shouldn't be a surprise when we see data like this. 64% of current retirees agreed that the United States is in a full-blown retirement crisis. And remember, these are the people living it right now. They're telling us the system is broken. In fact, 1 in 3 retirees in 2025 had to cut back on basic, everyday essentials just to survive. We're not talking about people who are financially reckless. They worked for decades and are still struggling just to get by.
Section 3. The 3 wealth destroyers.
So you might be wondering, how exactly does the wealthiest nation on Earth end up with this slow-motion disaster? Where's all the money going if it isn't going into retirement accounts? Well, it comes down to 3 systemic financial traps. First up, the paycheck-to-paycheck trap. Get this, 51% of Americans spend everything they earn with absolutely nothing left over. When you have zero margin, retirement savings is always the first thing to disappear. Second is the car trap. The average American is spending $767 every single month on a depreciating asset. That is money flowing directly into the hands of banks and dealerships instead of building your wealth. And third, the emergency fund crisis. 1 in 3 Americans completely lacks a savings buffer. That means every unexpected expense knocks them straight back into credit card debt. These 3 traps, they constantly bleed money away from your future.
Section 4. The compound interest gap.
The compound interest gap is basically the devastating loss of exponential growth caused by delaying investments and missing returns on previous returns. Here's how it works. When you invest, your money earns a return. Then the next year, you earn a return on your original money plus the return from the previous year. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, gathering more and more snow. Time, not your income level, is literally the single most valuable resource you have for building wealth. When you push off investing because of car payments or credit card debt, you aren't just missing that 1 month's contribution. Let's look at the math, because it is wild. If you invest $300 a month at an 8% return starting at age 25, you hit just over $1 million by age 65. Awesome, right? But if you wait just 10 years, starting at age 35, with the exact same $300 a month at the exact same return, you end up with only $440,000. You literally vaporized $560,000 just by waiting 10 years. And if you wait until age 45 to start, you end up with a mere $180,000. This perfectly illustrates how delaying your investments permanently destroys your wealth.
The Social Security failure.
Now, if you're sitting there thinking, hey, I'll just rely on the government, well, relying on Social Security as your primary safety net is mathematically dangerous. The Social Security Administration currently projects insolvency by 2032. If nothing changes legislatively, retirees face a potential 24% cut across the board. The current average benefit of $1,782 per month, that would plummet to roughly $1,350 per month. That's just $16,200 a year. Let that sink in. That is what millions would be forced to live on.
And honestly, over half of older Americans are already trying to survive on an income of less than $30,000 a year. It's entirely valid to feel frustrated by this. The system is unfair, pensions are largely a thing of the past, and the burden of retirement has been entirely transferred to you, the individual. But here's the hard truth. Frustration won't pay the bills in retirement.
Section 5. 6 Steps to Financial Dignity. Okay, I want to completely shift the energy here, from panic to empowerment, because it is absolutely never too late to take control. Let's walk through this definitive blueprint methodically. Step 1. Start today. Even if it's just $25, you have got to start the clock on compound growth. Step 2. Take the employer match. If you aren't doing this, you are literally leaving free, guaranteed money on the table. Step 3. Open a Roth IRA, which we'll look at closer in just a sec. Step 4. Automate everything. Make those investments happen before you even see the money in your checking account. Step 5. Reduce those wealth destroyers. Cut the unnecessary subscriptions, lower that massive car payment, and redirect that cash straight to your future. And Step 6. Think beyond the market. This means eliminating your mortgage before retirement to drop your housing costs and protecting your health so medical bills don't drain your savings.
Let's zoom in on Step 3 for a quick second, the Roth IRA. It is hands down one of the most powerful tools you have. You contribute after-tax dollars, and the money grows completely tax-free. When you pull it out in retirement, you pay zero taxes. For 2026, the contribution limits are $7,000 if you're under 50 and $8,000 if you are 50 or older. If you want financial dignity, maximizing tax-free growth is a massive part of the puzzle.
You have more time right now than you will tomorrow. The retirement crisis is very real, and the responsibility falls entirely on your shoulders. But the people who survive this crisis with their freedom and dignity intact, they'll be the ones who look at this reality and take immediate action. So the question I'll leave you with today is this. Knowing exactly how much a 10-year delay will cost you, what is stopping you from automating your first investment right now, today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and go take charge of your future.